And welcome to this course. This is the AB 1172 training course that is required of all staff in NPAs and NPSs. We'll talk about the legal requirements and why. I am Dr. Jaime Flowers. I have a PhD in school psychology. I'm a licensed educational psychologist in California and a licensed specialist in school psychology in Texas. I also have a BCBA and I'm a nationally certified school psychologist. I was faculty at a university in Texas training people to become school psychologists, and I quit that job so that I could focus on my continuing education business. I offer continuing education units for BCBAs, and I also offer an RBT course. So I've been teaching behavior management to people at various levels and within various fields for the last 15 years. Within this PowerPoint, we're going to summarize the purpose and scope of AB 1172 so you'll fully understand the extent of the law and what it was meant to do. We're going to identify required training elements under the law, so exactly what we need to talk about to meet the requirements. And then we'll also talk about your role with that, your role as an NPS, NPA staff. So what is AB 1172? It's a law that was enacted in California in 2019. An NPS or an NPA is an agency or a school who have met criteria so that they can provide services to schools. They can contract with public schools to provide services to students with disabilities under IEP programs. So until they go through those criteria, they can't do that. When a public school is looking for an agency to provide services to kids in school, they can only contract with an NPA. They cannot contract with just any ABA agency. This law focuses on ensuring safe and supportive learning environments by setting training requirements for NPS and NPA staff. Unfortunately, the reason this law exists is because a student was mechanically restrained in an NPS and lost their life. That's why the law was passed. All this training is to ensure that you have tools to engage in positive behavior change. Why does it matter? This law will ensure safe and supportive environments. So it will make sure we're creating environments that prioritize student safety, dignity, and well-being. It also prevents harmful interventions. So the law prohibits the use of dangerous or unethical behavior interventions, which can harm students. It helps us as an NPAs align better with public school standards. People who interact with students within the public school need training to engage in behavior change. This provides the same accountability standards for NPAs and NPSs as public schools. Education. So when you engage in positive behavior change and students, have better behavior, it allows them to better access their education. So it makes the quality of the education better and all those things. So this really helps students in that way. So there's some key legal requirements that I have to cover within this course. The first is emergency behavior intervention procedures, training on legally permitted emergency interventions to safely respond to crisis situations. So what can you do? Prohibited intervention, so training on techniques that you cannot do because they are harmful and inhumane in nature. And then positive behavior strategies, so training on evidence-based approaches to support positive behavior and social emotional learning. I spend the most time giving you a lot of tools so that you can engage in positive behavior management within your setting to help your students engage in better learning. And then we'll talk briefly about trauma-informed care and what that means and how you might treat someone who's had a traumatic experience differently. And we will also talk about data collection and reporting. It's the most important thing. You really can't do behavior change without data collection. There's some additional AB 1172 mandates, including that we need to submit all behavior emergency reports. So when a crisis happens, we have to submit a report as an NPS or NPA. Your agency or school has to provide California with the annual staff training completion rate, so how many people have completed the training. There may be Department of Education site visits to make sure that you're complying with prohibited interventions. Who must comply with this? Anyone providing direct support to students. So anybody who interacts with students on a daily basis would need to take this training and take it annually. And so that's primarily going to be your teachers, your paraprofessionals, your behavior techs, if there are any, your therapists, or your occupational, physical, speech, and language therapists serving students, and then also administrators, principals, directors, and other school or agency leadership that interact with students. So why is this so important? As a staff member at a non-public school or agency, you're playing a crucial role in ensuring the safety, dignity, and educational access of students with disabilities. I'm assuming that you got into this profession for that reason, to either provide learning, provide dignity with something. That's what your passion is within this role. This training can really help you understand the behavioral techniques that you can use when you're in those situations where behavior is occurring. Okay, I'll see you next video.